Welcome to Networking RX, a podcast devoted to helping business professionals like you enhance your networking skills in order to become more proficient giving and receiving quality business referrals and improving the overall quality of your life and the lives of those around you. The Networking RX podcast is a production of AmSpirit Business Connections, an organization whose mission is to empower business success through networking.
Welcome back for another episode. This is Frank Agan, founder and president of AmSpirit Business Connections. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for subscribing, and thanks for referring others. Today, I have a guest on the program. As a prelude to introducing the guest, in past episodes, you've heard me say that we're human. We have one brain, and that brain doesn't know the difference between personal relationships and professional relationships. And today, I have an individual on who works, I don't want to say exclusively with personal relationships, but primarily with personal relationships. And another thing I've said on this program is that networking is really a function of us, is really a function of the presence we carry. And, you know, a great presence that we can have is just to be happy. And so today I have Dr. John Schinnerer on with me, and he's the host of the Evolved Caveman podcast. I was on his program, and I've been following a lot of the newsletters that he puts out, and I wanted to get John on to talk about happiness and the things we can do to be happy. One of the things that I heard on a podcast was that just deciding you're going to be happier really is counterintuitive. Ironically, you'll be worse off. And it really comes down to focusing on the things that you can do to make you happier. Habits. So John, welcome to the program. If you would like to share a little about yourself, and then let's jump into some of these happiness habits that you share with all your clients.
All right. Thanks so much for having me, Frank. It's a pleasure. A little bit of a background. So PhD in psychology from UC Berkeley, wrote a book a while back. Did a radio show years ago, but have been working primarily with men for about 20 years in a variety of contexts, and started working with businessmen about 10 years ago. Realized pretty quickly that they were struggling at home a lot with their wives, even though they were having great success at work. And it kind of led to this motto of mine that, you know, the goal in life is really to be happy, or to be successful and happy at work and at home. Because if you don't have all four of those, you've got none of them, I would argue, because they're all interconnected. And so, you know, to your point earlier of, you know, kind of happiness and success, it's interesting because there's not a lot in the social sciences that can be proven as causal. Like a lot of times we'll find a connection between A and B, and we can say, well, these two are related, they're correlated. One of the findings that we found in positive psychology is that most often happiness precedes success. So happiness comes before success. Why is that? Well, and this kind of dovetails really nicely with what you do. People like to be around optimistic, upbeat, passionate people. So when you're that happy, upbeat person, you tend to have more relationships, more friendships. When you have more friendships and relationships, you have more information passing through you. Let's say you're looking for a job as a senior VP, you know, people can funnel information to you. If you don't want a job at Twilio, or if you found your job, then you can pass that information along to others, and then you become a conduit of valuable information. And so the probability of your success increase. The other part of that is that there was research that came out of Harvard a few years ago. I think it was Nicholas Christakis, who found that there's this ripple effect of happiness as well as other emotions. But when you wake up and you're in a great mood and, you know, you're upbeat and positive, enthusiastic, about 33% of that happiness has some sort of ripple effect or is contagious to the people you directly come into contact with, which that you would think is kind of intuitive. But it goes a step further, that there's about 17% of that happiness, or there's a ripple that goes out beyond that first circle to a second concentric circle. And so your happiness can actually touch people that you may not even know and never come into contact with. But the inverse of that's also true, where if we're irritable, angry, sad, that has a ripple effect as well. So that piece of information alone tells me that I've got to do more to up my emotional game.
Well, and I think that's an important point, that, our happiness impacts other people, certainly impacts us. I mean, if a bad mood's not going to get better unless you do
Right.
something. And I guess that leads into the whole conversation. What are some things that people can do, everyday things, to create happiness habits?
Well, to me, I mean, my basic framework is happiness and success rely on relationships in 4 areas. So relationship to self, relationship to others, relationship to your work, having some sort of meaningful work, and then relationship to some sort of higher power. Now, it's not my responsibility to tell you what to believe in or who to believe in, but we know from research that believing in something larger than yourself adds to happiness and life satisfaction. So one of the bigger barriers, I would say, to happiness is this idea of the hedonic treadmill. What does that mean? It means that we adapt and habituate to everything, good or bad. We can adapt to losing the use of our legs in a car accident, and we can adapt to winning the lottery. So for bad things, it works pretty well. It's kind of effective. For good things, not so much. Because let's say, Frank, you buy a brand new BMW M4, and you're like, oh
Right.
my God, this car is so sick. And you walk out of your house in the morning at first, and you get that boost of confidence, and you get a little swagger, and you're feeling good about yourself, and you're enjoying the drive. And then after a few weeks, it kind of fades. And after another few weeks, you start to take it for granted. And as soon as you take that car for granted completely, it stops adding anything to your life satisfaction. That's the hedonic treadmill. Or let's say, you get married, and 10 years into your marriage, you adapt to your wife and you take her for granted. And then she stops adding anything to kind of your overall happiness. And then typically you start to argue more, but that's a whole nother story. So one of the things that we can practice to offset this is just daily gratitude. And, the simplest way is just look for 3 things that went well today, or 3 things that you're grateful for. And the idea here is to begin to train your mind as you go throughout the day to look for things that are going well in your life, to offset this negativity bias, because we also know about the human mind that the bad is stronger than the good. The
Right.
mind is like Velcro for the bad and Teflon for the good, to quote Rick Hansen, which means that the bad sticks to us. So we pay more attention to negative emotions, negative thoughts, negative self-definitions like I'm an idiot, negative things that we think other people are thinking about us. So we have to find a way to offset that. Gratitude is one of the easiest ways to do that. And, there's 3 layers of gratitude. So there's gratitude for obvious things, like I'm grateful for my children, my wife, my house. There's gratitude for less obvious things. I'm grateful for the ability to walk on my own. I'm grateful for the ability to feed myself with a fork. And then there's the 3rd level, sort of gratitude for our biggest challenges in life. So, for instance, I'm grateful for my contentious divorce that happened several years ago, because it really gave me a chance to become an expert at these emotional management tools, which I teach. And so that's an example of one tool that's really helpful with happiness.
Just finding gratitude.
Well, and the daily practice of it, but you can't do the same things over and over, because then you adapt to those.
Right.
So, I think a lot of people are like, oh, gratitude, whatever. But we also know that a lot of times common knowledge is not common practice.
Right.
And we know the things we're supposed to do, we just don't do them.
So essentially, would you advocate journaling? Just getting yourself a journal and kind of posting in there, writing the date?
Journaling is a good exercise. There's particulars about journaling too. You don't want to journal every day because you don't want to habituate to journaling.
Right.
So, a lot of it is kind of introducing an almost random element to it. So I'll journal 4 days out of 7, but not the same days.
Gotcha. So in my mind, it's kind of like CrossFit. You don't do the same exercises all the time. You're constantly mixing it up. Okay.
Yeah, and I think that you're absolutely right. I mean, there's a lot of kind of basics and the obvious ones. Exercise, eat well. Relationships are a big part of it. Surrounding yourself with positive, uplifting, supportive people, and that in and of itself is pretty challenging. I think self-care is a big one. So
Wait, what do you mean by self-care? I hear that term, and it's just kind of It took a shower. I mean,
especially for men. Men's
right.
like, what? Like self-care? Are you kidding? Like, I don't
Yeah.
self-care. Self-care is whatever you need to do to, I mean, think of having two kind of metaphorical buckets in you, a bucket of positive emotion,
right,
a bucket of negative emotion. And, we're really good at filling up that bucket of negative emotion, annoyance, resentment, hurt. But what we're really trying to do is find ways to fill up that bucket of positive emotion. Because even if you got both those buckets empty, you wouldn't be sad, you wouldn't be angry, you wouldn't be stressed, but you're not necessarily happy.
Right.
And so we're looking for ways to fill up that positive bucket. So whatever it is that you do that fills you up, that re-energizes you, that reinvigorates you, that, helps you to rediscover your passion. And for some guys, I know it's going skiing for the weekend. For some guys, I know it's driving. For some, it's getting a massage. For some, it's going to the gym. For some, it's hanging out one-on-one with their loved one. For some, it's sitting on the ground and playing Legos with their 2-year-old. Could be eating a good meal, could be taking a nap, but it's whatever you do to kind of rest and recharge and fill yourself back up so that you're ready to go out there and take on the world again. Because I think typically what we do is, for me, I was taught that leave the world a better place than you found it, serve others. And those are great ideals, great values. However, I think they have to come after self-care, because what I see over and over and over again is people that are seeking to help others, but they do so at the expense of their self, and they're giving until they're completely tapped out. And then they get depressed, or they just kind of stop functioning to a degree. They get exhausted.
Right.
And so what we kind of need to rethink that a little bit and put self-care at the top of the list, because if we're empty, if we have nothing to give, then we're of no use to the ones we love.
What would be a good referral for you? We have people listening here. How could they help you?
Oh, thank you for asking. I think one of the things is, I've got a few spots open for coaching, but my individual books are pretty full at this point. More so what I'm trying to do is build the email list. My fiance and I are actually doing a couples retreat in Costa Rica in September of 2020. And so we're looking for about 5 more couples to spend a week with us in Costa Rica, where you get, an hour of training and teaching in the morning, an hour in the afternoon, and then you get the whole day to kind of get massage, hang out by the pool, go on excursions, and check out Costa Rica. So that's kind of the latest project, is looking for couples that are interested in finding ways to create more fulfilling, sustaining, happy relationship.
What would be the best way to get a hold of you, to find your podcast, find out more about the couples retreat?
The podcast is The Evolved Caveman, and you can find that on iTunes or other major platforms. The website for that is theevolvedcaveman.com. As far as the couples retreat, that information is available at theultimaterelationship.com.
Okay. John, I appreciate your time here today.
Hey, thank you so much for having me on, Frank.
Thanks for joining us on the Networking RX podcast. Please put what you've learned into action today and let us know if you have questions, comments, or ideas for future topics. You can email them to us at podcast@amspirit.com. That's AMSPIRIT.com. Finally, so you never miss an episode, be sure to subscribe to the Networking RX podcast through iTunes, Overcast, or however you receive your podcasts. Now get out and network with someone.
The Networking RX podcast is the copyright production of AmSpirit Business Connection. All rights reserved.